Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the Welcome to Footnotes, the podcast where we talk about bad movies and try and make them better.
So these are our notes.
These are our notes. Welcome to the notes section of Footnotes. We're going to be taking down the different ideas that we come up with. Today we're going to be talking about the Hobbit trilogy by Peter Jackson and how we can make it not a flaming pile of disaster fire.
But
My name is Ezra Block. This is Jacob Block.
At the same time, we can't copy Ralph Bakshi, which it was a master
okay, yeah,
at The Hobbit.
That's good. We should put that rule, because the thing I was going to say the moment we started the podcast was like, you know how to make the Hobbit trilogy better? Make it one movie and make it animated and have it directed by Ralph Bakshi. So I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. So that's a good ground rule we'll put forward. We cannot. Bakshi?
I'm pretty sure it's
Did you research it ahead of time to make sure for this particular conversation?
Let's look it up.
We don't have to look it up right now.
No, let's look it up. You wanted this.
I didn't want this.
Fine. Whatever. I don't care.
So that's a good ground rule. So number one is we can't make it Ralph Bakshi. Should we decide now? We should also decide now. So are we going to make it 3 movies? Do we have to make 3 good Hobbit movies, or do we have to, or can we make it 1 movie or 2 movie or 4 movies?
Let's make it 2 movies.
0 movies? 2 movies?
Yeah, 1 movie ending in the release of Smaug, and the other movie.
No, that was their mistake.
Okay, no.
Their mistake was ending 1 movie with the release of Smaug.
So
we're not doing that.
The second movie will have Smaug released in the middle.
This is what we'll do. This is how it's going to be. All right, just like bear with me. So first movie, we start. So okay, so 2 movies. First movie, they travel, and it ends with them reaching Lake Town. Second movie is Battle with Smaug and Battle of 5 Armies.
Well,
does that sound good to you?
But
you're saying the first movie will be too top heavy.
But Azog, though. We're not putting Azog in, right?
No. The leader of the Orcs is going to be completely nameless, like he was in the Bakshi version. I still don't know if
in fact, we could make it a thing about Orcs being nameless.
Well, it doesn't matter. Like, who gives a flying son of a pig? Like, this was based on a book that was made for children. You don't need a primary antagonist whose name is Azog, and he's the albino orc, and one of his arms is missing and it's replaced with a blade. Like, you just need to be this badass looking guy.
Transformers was a children's cartoon, and apparently the best Transformers movie ever is now rated R with 93%.
Wait, which one would that be? Bumblebee is the best one?
Yeah.
It was only a matter of time before Michael Bay broke into the R-rated genre. Wait, what does that prove? Okay, but like, wait, no, stop. Bumblebee is not the culmination. Bumblebee is not an adaptation of the original Transformers. Bumblebee is the continuation of Michael Bay's Transformers, which is an adaptation of the original Transformers, specifically designed for a teenage and adult crowd as well as children. Like, it's not. I don't think you can apply Bumblebee logic to The Hobbit, nor should you, because you don't want The Hobbit to be Michael Bay's Bumblebee. And
I don't want anything to be Michael Bay's Bumblebee.
You don't want anything. Well, I haven't seen Bumblebee.Maybe it's an amazing movie. Apparently, it's 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. Who gives
a perfect blend of action, drama, and humor?
Yeah, who cares? But like, maybe it is a good movie. I can't say for sure, but you don't want that in The Hobbit. The Hobbit should be like mystical, and like it should have a lot of like. It should be enchanting for a younger audience. This was not enchanting for a younger audience because it's the same thing that he did for The Lord of the Rings. And The Lord of the Rings wasn't made for children. It was made to be gritty and to feel like, it wasn't made for children.
And I thought they were okay.
The Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah.
I've heard people say like I didn't like that adaptation of the original books before they dislike Peter Jackson's adaptation.
I mean, you read Lord of the Rings books, and you said it was a lot more formalist than the movies.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you said J.R.R. Tolkien's writing was more pulpy. There's less consistency to it. It didn't follow all the rules of writing, Chekhov's gun.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's a fantasy. It's an epic. It's a fantasy epic. They didn't have these like a muted color palette to it, and like the Jackson soundtrack, right, with like these, right? They didn't have that, right? I got it kind of like folksy music,
okay?
Medieval folksy music.
You think
like
quiet? The
Yeah.
songs should have been written by the Gothic Archies?
No, I don't think the songs should have. No, I'm talking about the soundtrack music for the Lord of the Rings. You know how like the songs are like, it's like medieval folk music, but it's like sorrowful, and there's a woman
Yes.
just going like,
Yes,
in the background.
I'm aware of that
Yes,
kind of
so,
music.
Yeah, so that's the tone that they made for the Lord of the Rings, and I believe the Lord of the Rings movies are okay, right? And let's leave it at that. But the problems with the Hobbit, which are vast. There's a sea of problems. It's like if you were like, okay, let's list everything that they do wrong in The Room, right? But 3 movies, right? And obviously it's not as bizarre as The Room, right? Like the acting and is competent. The cinematography doesn't look stupid, but there are
was no cinematography in The Room.
Many mistakes in terms of story and character and like motivation and just a boring mess of a film. But do you think so? Let's say we're making 2 movies, right?
Right.
Let's say we're making 2 movies. How long is each movie going to be?
90 minutes.
90 minutes, right?
That's how I want any
We
movie
want
to be.
children to be able to see this, right? So it shouldn't be super long, so they're going to get bored. So 90 minutes. So do you think we can do the dwarves meet the Hobbit, right? And the Hobbit,
right?
They go up the mountains, right? They see the storm giants. They're not going to be giant rock people, and it's not going to take 1,000,000 minutes to get through that scene. You're just going to see them because that's what they were in the book. But let's say that they go up the mountain, they see the storm giants, they go to a cave, the goblins capture them. They're down in the goblin face. They burst out. He meets Gollum. They have an exchange. He steals the ring. They get out. They go to Mirkwood. They get attacked by the spiders. They meet the elves. They escape from the elves in barrels. Do you think we can do that in 90 minutes? Bakshi did it like a lot quicker than that. But that did make up probably like 2/3 of that film. And I don't remember how long the movie was.
I don't think we need to do all of that.
Okay, so where's a good stopping point if we do not want to go all the way up to that in the first movie? Would it be them escaping the mountain? Because that also doesn't seem like not a lot happens to that first part.
Them escaping the mountain, that seems like the most tedious part of that sequence.
Well, because that's what they did with the first movie with There and Back Again. Is that what it's called? Is that what they called it? Or no, I think it's like a leap in a journey. It's some nonsense. Whatever. That's where the first movie ended. I feel like we could go a little longer. Maybe we end with the giant spiders attacking them. Like it's a cliffhanger.
That seems trivial compared to Smaug's release.
Yeah, yes, but we're not going to end it with Smaug's release because not that much happens after Smaug gets released.
Okay.
Okay, and come on.
Okay, so it ends on the spiders.
Okay. Are we sure we want to end it on the spiders?
Yes.
We could end it with them getting captured by the elves.
I'm getting captured by what? Why did the elves capture them? I don't remember.
The wood elves. They're like trespassing.
That didn't happen in the movie.
No, they do get captured by the elves,
movie.
and then they escape in barrels.
That happened in the live action movie?
In the second movie, they get captured by the elves when they're in Mirkwood. They
Huh.
kill the spiders, and then they get captured by the elves because the elves are like, we don't like you. because you're dwarves, and we don't like you because you're trespassing or something like that. I don't remember the exact.
I don't
reason.
remember any wood elves from the second movie.
The wood elves are jerks. It happened, okay? Oh, and there's some other stuff that happens at the beginning of the movie, like them going to Elrond or whatever. Elrond? That's his name, right?
The Bear Man?
No, right. There's the Bear Man, obviously, and there's Elrond.
The Brown?
No, not the crazy wizard with the mushrooms who will not appear in our version of the story. No, not him. The elf guy played by the man who played the Red Skull.
I'm not familiar
The
with
elf
that actor.
man. He's the austere one and he's appearing in Peter Jackson's Mortal Engines as the leader of London. Elrond. How can you not remember? We really should have brushed up on this if we were going to do this episode. Anyway, they go to him and he's like, "Give me your map." And they take the map and he like looks at it in the moonlight and he's like, "You see the secret codes that are hidden in the right." So they do that. So we can end it with the spiders probably. That's like a decent amount of stuff that can go on in the second movie. And then we probably won't have to drag anything out particularly, but we can have a little more build up to some of the stuff. Yeah, so we end it with they get into Mirkwood and then they get attacked with the spiders, right?
Now, are all the spiders different sizes, or are they all giant?
They're all giant.
Okay.
In the books, they were all giant, and there weren't a million of them either. There were like 3. You hacks.
Seems like enough to catch some dwarves. I mean, they're huge. They spin webs specifically made to capture people.
They didn't like rush out and like attack them like a militia. They grabbed them while they were asleep, which made sense because spiders would hunt in a sneaky way. They grabbed them while they were sleeping. They wrapped them up.
Actually, they wait for traps. They set up traps and wait for them.
Okay, but imagine you're a giant spider, right?
If you're a giant spider, then you have less options in hiding.
We can make it that like the dwarves accidentally walk into a trap like that. They walk into this webbing, right? And they get stuck in it and they can't move out because it's like super strong.
What if they're sleeping on a slant and then they slowly slide off the cliff?
Something like that. They could be like they're sleeping on like a slant. Okay, so first movie ends with spider cliffhanger. Okay, so we'll have to change. So they okay, so okay, I got it. So like we have like the film, right, and we have them doing that, and they go to the elves and they get the moon map and they see the thing, and then they're in the mountain, and then they fight their way through Goblin Town, and then we have the Gollum encounter, and then they get down the mountain and they reach Mirkwood and they like rest up, right? Like, or there's also the troll thing. There's actually the way we're splitting it up, most of the stuff will happen in the first.
Troll thing is one of the most memorable scenes in the original movie.
Well, do you want to end it with them leaving the mountain and then just have the whole thing? Or we could stretch. I don't want to say we weren't going to stretch. No, that's too much. Now there's too. It's not. Yeah, it's difficult to split it up. But I think we have to end it with the spiders cliffhanger or with some kind of cliffhanger. Because I was going to say, what if it ends with what if the first movie ends with Bilbo landing in Gollum's pit?
Yes. No.
No,
that doesn't seem like it.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll end it with this. End it with the spider. So we have the first part, which is them like kind of getting there, right? And then it ends with them like they have a camp, right? They're resting up after like a long journey, and everything seems fine. And then like Bilbo wakes up and he sees like the giant spiders creeping out, and like a person just gets like shunk, like dragged away into the forest, right? Yeah. by like a strand of webbing, and you start hearing chittering noises, and you can see like there are like a bunch of them, right? Like around. They're like surrounded by them. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, but where are the cave trolls? in this story.
So the cave trolls are at the beginning. They're like the first thing that they encounter, I think. Like the way that the story goes, they go like they get they get Baggins. They're like wandering and they come across the camp of trolls, right?
Yeah.
And then the trolls like attack them and they tie them up, and they're gonna eat them. And then like Gandalf appears and he's like, and then like the sun rises and they turn to stone. And that's like the first thing that happens to them. This is the troll thing, I think.
Right. One of the first problems I saw in the movie was that the dwarves were very intrusive in Bilbo's house.
Yes.
I didn't like.
That's the way they were in the book.
Okay.
We could also, we're making the adaptation, so we can do it however we want. We can just skip the scene where Bilbo gets recruited, right?
Right.
Like instead of them all showing up at his house and then Gandalf being like, you're coming on this quest with us, and he's like, I don't want to do it, and Gandalf is like, it doesn't matter, you're coming, right? Instead of doing that, we can do it that we can have the first movie begins with them like walking, right? And yeah, go ahead and write that down. Already on the journey, yeah. So we do it that they're like already on the journey, and they're walking around and probably like he's like behind them and he like looks kind of like scared and out of his depth, and one of the dwarves is like talking to him, right? He's like, right. So what is it like being a hobbit, right? Like what do you do, right? And we get a little exposition about Bilbo and a little. They say like, well, you're our burglar, right?
Right.
You're gonna be taking care of that dragon for us, right? So then he's like, right, sure, right, and that's where our exposition comes in that like beginning little conversation that they have, and then it can quickly move into the like the guy is like, stop, there's a troll camp up ahead, right?
Right.
Thorin. Do you think So we're not gonna. I'm assuming we're not gonna have Gandalf going off and getting kidnapped by the necromancer who works for Sauron.
Yeah, that isn't going to happen.
Bull.
Yeah, that sounds stupid.
Yes,
we shouldn't do that.
Should not do that. All right, so right. So Gandalf just disappears like he did in the books, and that isn't explained
because he's a wizard.
He's a wizard.
He does mysterious things.
He has mysterious stuff he has to attend to.
Yeah.
Like standing on stone bridges and going, you shall not pass.
And recharging his batteries
right
by sunlight.
Yes, and
recharging that's how he get his powers.
And like meditating or whatever, and not having a weird and creepy relationship with Lady Galadriel. You hacks. I keep calling Peter Jackson and the other writers hacks, and I think it's true, right? like if you're just watching like it's all just like it's like the only thing they seem to care about is like the spectacle of action, and then like the stuff that happens is so cliche. It's like, oh, he's about to murder this girl, so the guy runs in to rescue her. Oh, and he's like, come with me, and she's like, I cannot, right?
That's actually how the Mortal Engines trailer starts. They said the greatest form of spectacle, as if that's a thing to pride in.
Yes. What happened to less is more, Peter Jackson? All your movies are 3.5 hours long. Less is more, Peter Jackson. Less is more.
Law of proportions.
Yeah, it can be longer than the Bashki version, which condenses the whole book into like, it's like 90 minutes, like 110 minutes. It's not, maybe not very well paced. Like it doesn't have to be series of unfortunate events style where they spend 30 minutes on each book, but like it doesn't have to be like, don't make 3.5 hour long movies. That's nearly 11 hours of a book that is like less than 100 pages long.
Yeah. That's a problem.
Well, and that's also like, I guess that like Peter Jackson has found his niche, because that's American. That's like current cinema is 3.5 hours long of just stuff exploding. That's
yes.
Like the spectacle of action is most movies that are
Yes.
released nowadays. But I guess I shouldn't say that. It's the big movies that are spectacle of action, right? You don't watch Infinity War for the gripping character drama. You watch it because you want to see things blow up in a specific way.
I think that's what Marvel does best, actually.
Gripping
the
character
character
drama.
likability.
Well, yes, they make the characters very likable because they're all like everyman, right? Like that you can relate to them pretty easily.
Yeah.
But also you're there. But if there isn't like enough action, you're like, this movie is boring.
Yeah. But
Which
also,
is what happened with Thor.
But also, I realized it was very long, and yet I was never bored. And yet, in these 3-hour-long movies, I was very commonly bored. Quite abundantly, in
Yes,
fact.
well, those movies are good at entertaining you, because first of all, they're actually funny, and second of all, you care about what's going on, right? In The Hobbit, you don't really care about what's going on because they don't spend time getting you to like love like they don't spend a lot of time with you're like, these are the dwarves, right, and this is the journey of the dwarves and Bilbo, right, because they spend it's the same, oh my god, it's the same problem as so many other things, right, where it's like, okay, we're making the prequel, right, but they're not like here are new characters that you'll grow to love. They're like, okay, let's fish up some old characters that you already know, and we'll create a plot for them to have so that you can care about what's going on. And then we'll just replicate, like the Bard character, he looks exactly like Orlando Bloom, right?
Yes.
I'm not crazy, right?
Yes, they look
Yes.
exactly like the dwarves from the original series.
Who cares about him? He's just like another like pretty actor to have a role. Like, he's not the focus of The Hobbit. Nobody cares about his story arc. In The Hobbit, he was like one guy, and he was this stern guy, and he was like, I'll shoot the arrow that kills Smaug, right? And that was cool. But like, you don't need a backstory for him. He doesn't need to have this huge, like, engaged
I
plot.
thought it was really awesome in the original movie when he shot the arrow straight into his chest.
When he was like,
I didn't-
arrow by my side, like he has this whole like prayer that he says, and then he shoots it, and
that was awesome.
Right.
I don't care that he wanted to shoot it because we already know that he wanted to shoot it. It's a dragon.
A dragon is destroying the town. That's your motivation. You don't have to have this long, convoluted backstory where he has to redeem his father's mistakes, and there was the arrow jammed in the thing, and he has to do it. Like, and the arrow doesn't need to be this intricate, awesome looking, like swirly thing. It's just an arrow. That was the point of Smaug having a weakness. If he has a weakness, why does it need to be a super cool iron arrow? Just make it a regular arrow.
In fact, I think that's part of the anticlimax ideas.
Well, that's part of I assume that was part of the story, that Smaug is this super powerful dragon, but he has this tiny little weak spot, right? And a normal arrow kills him.
That may very well be a direct reference to the Achilles heel.
Yes. Well, but that's like what these stories are. It's like a myth. Everything doesn't need to be awesome, Peter Jackson. If everything is awesome, then nothing is. Do you understand? If Legolas can just jump up falling bricks as they're falling, then the world loses any sense of like emotional effect, because the rules, like, it's, oh my god. If everything is expanded so much, then nothing matters.
Okay, let me just add this rule.
No special effects. Well, are we making it animated, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay, so we should probably write that down.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because the CGI is out of control. This is the same problem that George Lucas had, where he looked back at his movies and he was like, that alien looks so fake. If I make it on a computer, though, that alien will look real forever, right? But and the aliens don't, because CGI looks fake too.
But another great problem was the slow motion. And
there was so much slow motion. It was
But another thing that can add to anticlimax is actually speeding up when something big is happening.
Yeah, make it more engaging.
So faster pace.
Yes, well, of course you have a faster pace. You have, like, if you're going to cover all this stuff, right? Like, don't make three-hour-long movies.
More consistent humor, I think, is another one
The
I would
Lord of the
like to
Rings
see.
were 3 hours long, and people still. The Lord of the Rings were 3 hours long. They were based on gigantic epics that were too long, and people still complained about the movies being too long. Why would you make longer movies for a shorter book? Why? Why? Why would you do this? In The Lord of the Rings, there were actually epic things happening. The Hobbit is not an epic thing happening. It's a storybook.
I wonder how long Mortal Engines is. Maybe it's a lot shorter.
I have no doubt.
Maybe he made every correction there could possibly be made.
I have
in his
no
career.
doubt that Mortal Engines is too long. It's too spectacle driven because the whole movie is spectacle. Like the only reason the movie exists is like, hey, you like steampunk, right? And he was like, yes. Well, how about a whole world that's steampunk? And he's like, okay. And he's like, and the cities all move.
I don't think.
And it's combat between the cities, the giant cities that move.
I don't think the premise is directly related to any specific cyberpunk derivative.
These are movies that are made for like 8-year-olds who,
yes,
but they're marketed to 20-year-olds. And like it's so oh god, it's so stupid. Like the Hobbit
right.
isn't a complex story.
Less characters.
Yeah, less characters. We don't need Bard. He doesn't need to show up earlier. He can show up and Bilbo is like, he has a weakness, and Bard's like, he like looks up and he says that he does have a weakness, and he pulls back and he's like, arrow be strong, true, right, and then he does it, right? It doesn't have to take like 5 minutes of Smaug like moving slowly through the city going, I'm going to definitely win. You know he's going to lose. Who is watching the third Hobbit movie and has not read The Hobbit or doesn't think that Smaug is going to die in that moment? It's like if you did like, okay, we're doing a prequel series to the Harry Potter, right? And we're gonna spend an hour per movie on like whatever Professor McGonagall was doing back then, right? Like on this separate plot, and it's like all about Voldemort is eventually going to show up, right? You know, you remember him because he was dangerous, but like you're not afraid of Sauron when he appears in The Hobbit. Why would you be? You know he doesn't do anything for the next 100 years.
Also, you know he fails in 100 years.
Also, you know, yeah, his tower blows up. He's gone. Poof. He's no longer a threat by the end of those movies. Also, if they knew that he was coming this whole time, what the hell were they doing?
So, what?
I'm sure, like, that's explained in the Silmarillion or whatever, but I don't give a shit. If these are the only movies that you have context for the actual story from, then it doesn't make any sense. They knew he was making an army for 100 years, and they didn't do anything?
So,
wouldn't you not wait until the situation was at its most dire to destroy the ring?
The subplot that Frodo had in The Lord of the Rings was all based around him trying to destroy the ring.
What do you mean subplot? That was the main plot, right?
Sure, okay.
I guess the main plot was probably
the thing is we hardly ever saw that anyone do anything with the ring. So what would be cool is if we could actually see the ring do something.
Well, we do see Bilbo use it to be invisible, but like he doesn't use it as much as you would think he would use it. And like I don't even remember if he used it in the forest when he was fighting the spiders, because that was really cool when he was like scaring the spiders because he was invisible and he could just stab them and they had no idea where he was coming from.
Knee stab.
Yeah.
Knee stab.
Knee stab.
Knee stab.
Yeah, because they have 8 legs. So it's gonna be a lot of knee stabs. So stupid. So you think? Well,
5 minutes of knee stabbing.
If we do have like a Bilbo like putting on the ring and then he like moves like a stone out of the way, I feel like it loses some of the mystique, right?
Sure.
But we can have him turn invisible more.
Well, what if one of the spiders took the ring?
No.
What can a spider do with a ring?
bring it to Sauron because Sauron wanted the ring.
But the spiders follow Sauron?
Well, it's implied in these movies that the reason why there are giant spiders is because of the necromancer, who is a wraith working for Sauron, right?
Right. Right. I thought the necromancer had become Sauron. That's what I thought. It was a confusing
No, really?
narrative.
That's what you thought?
Yeah.
Oh.
In the scene, there it said there's a necromancer, and then they zoomed in, and it turned into a giant eye.
I know.
I assumed that's what Sauron is.
No, wait, no. Sauron was like an evil guy who existed like thousands of years ago, and he was destroyed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would he be the necromancer? I think the necromancer was like a reincarnate. It was like a power for him, right? Like it was like a vessel for his power, right?
Right.
Something like that, like an avatar for him to use.
Uh-huh.
Temporarily or whatever.
So the necromancer didn't have consciousness. It was
controlled
by Sauron.
Well, I thought it was like the necromancer is this evil wizard and he works for Sauron, but then he like turns into Sauron. So I guess it was like, I think it was confusing. They never bothered to explain it, I'm sure. Anyway, do you want to put down more invisibility, or do you think there's enough in that?
Yeah, I gave up on the invisibility thing. I don't care about that anymore.
Okay, no, all right. Okay, so if we're doing okay, so the goblins originally they like made weapons. We can incorporate that into their appearance.
No,
in the story they can make weapons.
But they would be crude, right? Because goblins are smaller and less intelligent than humans are.
No, in the original story, they're actually like responsible for making a lot of weapons because they're like war hungry. They enjoyed like making weapons and just destroying stuff. I don't think they were actually like that much stupider either. Like they were about as smart as the average person.
So how advanced would you say they should be?
Well, they can still be living in like shambles because they're part of this awful like society, right?
But could they be wearing clothes and not just rags?
Well, I always am. Well, in the Bashki version, they are wearing like armor and like tunics and stuff. We could. It depends. How do you want to do? How do you want to do the goblins? Should they be more civilized, where they wear like armor and stuff? I guess if they are building a lot of weapons, they would probably build armor for themselves, so they could all be armored.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then they can, yeah. Yeah, okay. Did you want to write that down? Goblins are more civilized and they build weapons. I can write it down if you don't want to. What else? Would you, okay, here's a good question. Could you in the dark? Could you in a car? Would you still cast Benedict Cumberbatch as Smaug, given his performance? Or would you cast somebody with a lower voice?
His performance was fine, but no, I would not cast Benedict Cumberbatch.
No, I probably wouldn't cast him either. You know,
that would not be my first choice to cast Smaug.
How about like, I was gonna say Idris Elba. I'm trying to think of somebody else who has like a cool, like rough voice. Could do it like I'm trying to remember like what's the name of that one guy. You could be someone who's like older, right? You could make it
right. I forgot.
We don't have to look someone up now, but we can just say we'd get someone with. You could just say we could get someone with a deeper voice. Why are they giving? Why when you look up Star Wars, the first episode?
So Where's...
Yeah, we could.
oh, wait.
We could get Samuel L. Jackson to play Smaug.
What I was thinking was David Prowse.
David
No,
Prowse.
the voice guy. Who did it? Why didn't I see him in this?
Who's the character you're thinking of?
The guy who did the voice for Darth Vader.
Oh, God, I can't remember his name. James Earl.
Darth Vader voice.
I think it's James.
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones.
That's
yes.
what I meant. You hire James
I
Earl
don't
Jones
think we
for
can.
Smaug.
I don't think we can hire James Earl Jones to play Smaug.
Why?
Well, that's like if you hire the actor who plays Dracula to voice some other iconic villain like Brainiac, or I guess someone more
Zim.
more iconic than
Invader
that.
Zim.
No, I meant like it's like I don't think you can do that. I think he has to be more distinct than that. You can't have like I imagine James Earl Jones. His voice is very deep, right? But I don't think you want him to do it. You want somebody else. But we can just say a deeper voiced actor for Smaug.
Okay.
Deeper voiced actor for Smaug. All right. So what else? What else are we gonna do? What else does it need? I mean, there's so much, but like,
there's a
lot of stuff that's
obviously
just
we're going
gonna
to
shave.
show multiple times Bilbo complaining about not having second breakfast, because everyone needs more second breakfast. It's always something that we should be focusing on.
Yeah, some more scenes where one of the dwarves pulls out a wallet and he shows there's a photo and he says, "That's Gimli, my son, right?"
Right.
God, I hate self-referential humor.
Also, there's going to be a point in which one of the characters
Poorly done.
attempts to very thoroughly describe the shape of a stone.
Oh yes. There's gonna be at least 10 minutes of that. No, stop that. No, stop it. We're not doing that. Quit that.
Talking about
Okay.
a rock.
Other thing. Okay, no, we're not doing that. Stop that. Is it a musical? Because the Bashki version was a musical, right? They had this go down, the goblin, down, the goblin town, and then there were other parts where like you would have like a song play that the characters weren't singing, like the moment where Bilbo like climbs up a tree, right? No, stop that.
Off to work we
Quit it.
go, because they're dwarves.
No, like the moment where like Bilbo climbs up a tree and then he like looks out across the whole forest, right, and he sees the butterflies go off and it plays like this.
Oh yeah, that would have been
song.
That would have made for a great song.
Yes.
Yeah.
That song.
Yeah.
So do you think our soundtrack? Do you think our soundtrack should be like that? It should be like
60s.
Well,
is that
when 60s folk revival type songs?
Wasn't it?
Maybe.
Wasn't it in the 70s when fantasy was really popular?
I think it was the 70s when the movie was made. I'm saying like the song sounds like that. It was like a folk revival type song, I think. If I remember correctly. It was like a Pretenders era song.
Yes, that.
You don't remember who the Pretenders are, do you?
No.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. They did that song, Don't Get Me Wrong.
Don't get me wrong.
No, it doesn't go that way. If I should something. Okay, well, anyway, probably not that. We don't want to do that necessarily, but do we want there to be songs?
Yes.
Like songs, musical. Okay, so it's a musical. Like songs where they go like that's the pipes and candlelights. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates.
So should they be original songs or should we?
Yes, that's a good point. Well, that's what I'm trying to define. Is it that the characters themselves are singing, or is it that the soundtrack has words to it? Soundtrack has lyrics.
Original music sung by the characters, right?
Yeah, sung by the characters. Okay, well then it wouldn't be 60s-esque, presumably.
Oh yeah.
Well, Probably not. Yeah.
What would it be?
It would probably be like
70s?
like like well like I'm trying to remember their name, like Garfunkel and what's his face,
Simon and Garfunkel?
Simon and Garfunkel, like, you know that song where they go like, "Age rosemary and thyme."
Yes, that song.
Yes, it would be. Well, that's the closest analogy I can come up with off the top of my head for medieval type music. Would it be medieval type music?
Yeah, medieval type music.
So we can just say musical, medieval, original music sung by the characters.
Yes.
Medieval type music. Yeah. Sung by the characters, and then. Well, and then actually we could even like have the movie start with them singing the that's what Bilbo Baggins hates song.
Or why not Bilbo Baggins, King of the Wild Frontier.
Stop it!
Sung by Leonard Nimoy.
Well, first of all, Leonard Nimoy is dead, and I don't want to pay his estate for that song. I'm sorry, Leonard Nimoy. I don't think that's making it into this version of The Hobbit.
Can't spend the money anyway.
Well, that's also true, but maybe we'll put that as that can be the credit song. At the end of the last movie, it can play Bilbo Baggins.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
we can do that.
Actually, maybe
because we are making it for children, right? It's more, and the musical thing I think fits in with making it for children.
You know who writes good? Who writes good?
The guy who made Hamilton.
Music? Steam-powered giraffe.
I don't know if we want to.
Remember Leopold Expeditus?
Yes. No, I don't. But I don't remember that specifically. But yeah, I don't think I watched that. I didn't. I didn't listen to that song. No, I'm not as caught up on. Do not play that music while we're recording. That's called copyright infringement, and it's not happening.
Well, I don't think anyone would know.
Jacob, I've had it up to here.
Actually, why don't we just play royalty-free fantasy music?
Well, we can do that right now. It's a little weird to start in the middle of the podcast. Could we maybe... What if we don't do that this time, but then next time we do the podcast, we can play royalty-free music while we're doing it?
Okay, fine.
Because it feels dissonant if we start it now, but it's a good idea. Let's keep that up top. Anything else we want?
Top shelf.
Yeah, top shelf ideas. Anything else? What else?
You guys, how about you suggest something for us
in the comments section?
We're waiting.
I don't think
say it.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Now.
So if we've wrapped up, then we can just make that the episode. Less is more. It would be weird if the podcast for The Hobbit was incredibly long, although it does have an incredible amount of problems with it. So, is there anything else we want to do? Focus more on the other dwarves, right? Besides Thorin.
Okay, well, if there are less characters, then we'll be able to focus more on the dwarves.
Yes, focus more on the dwarves who are not Thorin. So, focus more on the dwarves who are not Thorin.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So, this is the first...
No Legolas.
No Legolas.
Because he didn't appear in the actual book.
How about I just get rid of less characters? That's a bit generic anyway.
Well, no, we should keep that up because we do want less characters. Like we don't need Stephen Fry to play the Lake House.
But why don't we just list which characters we don't want in the movie?
Okay, no Legolas, no Bard. Well, no, because then you have to say like no Galadriel, no Saruman, no the other whatever the name of the elf lady was who was in love with the dwarf.
Fine, because he didn't
appear in the book. Yeah. Oh, what if Stephen Fry plays Smaug? And instead of having a deep voice, he has like a weird like upper class English voice where
Maybe.
he's like, my wings are like a hurricane, right? Like something like that.
Or maybe not even Stephen Fry. What about Hugh Laurie?
No, that doesn't make any sense. Hugh Laurie is not adept to play Smiling. I refuse.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember another person who was in Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland because there were people who had cool voices in that. So like one of them could play Smaug. Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. Not Johnny Depp. He's not appearing in this movie. Over my dead body.
Okay.
Anne Hathaway, of course. Helena Bonham
Crispin
Carter.
Glover?
I don't know who he is.
Matt Lucas?
I don't know who that is either. No, there was somebody else who was like a famous person that go to IMDb. Let's go down to IMDb. No, yeah, you got it. Okay. Keep it down, going down, which was Stephen Fry.
The Cheshire Cat.
Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman could play the Smaug.
Yeah.
Right? Snape.
Alan Rickman.
He played Snape.
Yes.
And he was in Die Hard, which we just watched upstairs.
Also in Galaxy Quest.
Also, he was in Galaxy Quest. Look, he hasn't been in a ton of things. Yeah.
Wait, isn't he dead?
Has he died?
Yes, he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. Okay. Well, that's okay because we're never going to make this movie anyway. But assuming he was alive, he could play Smaug. If we really need him to.
Paul Whitehouse.
I don't know who that is.
As the March Hare.
Look, Jacob, you clicking on these people is not going to help because I can't hear their voice instantly, and I don't want to listen to. I can't listen to a recording right now. So
okay, I'm just going to look up recordings of his voice.
Yes, but we can't do that. That's copyright infringement. God damn it. All right, so that's a good number of things, right? We put some bullet points up. We identified some issues that the story has. Maybe we could say focus more on friendship between Bilbo and the dwarves. Do not make war look cool.
Because you will fail.
Yeah, but no, because that's the thing that Peter Jackson is good at, but that's not what The Hobbit is about. You can't make...
I mean, they still fail.
No, you said that they failed to make it look cool.
It looked goofy, in fact,
Yeah,
and stupid, and
so
underwhelming,
and
boring.
Okay, all right. Slow your roll. So do you think the war scenes in the Lord of the Rings looked cool or no?
Yeah, it was kind of cool, I suppose. I liked
giant elephant.
I liked when the ghosts overwhelmed the giant elephant. That was cool. I liked when Legolas took down
an elephant by himself.
That was cool. So yeah,
so
yeah.
It counts as one.
I suppose that those battles were fun, but it really failed in this. Really.
We should note no side stuff with Gandalf, because that's like that stuff is like the series of unfortunate events on Netflix stuff where they're like, this side character who's doing something else the whole time. Well, let's have a whole plot about them that ties into the whole thing.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to work.
No, I don't think it does. I think that's a bad idea. I think you should just focus on the people who are actually interesting.
So, are we done now?
Probably. No bad things. No, look, just
no bad things.
No bad things. No bad things. Make the fighting less actiony. Yeah, actiony, and more self-contained and grim, because we're trying to send a message to kids that war is bad.
And also less frequent.
So less frequent fighting.
Yes.
Less time spent on battles.
I know it's called the Battle of the Five Armies.
Yes, but it doesn't have to last for 5 hours. That joke deserved the response that it got. Single tear rolls down face. Anything else, or are we good, you think?
Well, I don't think we're ever going to be done with this.
Spiders. We're never going to be finished?
Yeah.
Just wait till we do Peter Jackson. Do you remember Peter Jackson's King Kong? You don't, do you? We can watch clips of it if you want to refresh your memory.
I think I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can. Well, but that's another one where it's like, well, we can do that, but the main thing you're gonna say is just like make it shorter, right? Like just make it shorter. It didn't need to be this long. Just have less scenes, have less characters and less scenes. You didn't need. It's the story. King Kong is a very simple story. You don't. It doesn't need to be so long. If the original King Kong had been as long as Peter Jackson's King Kong would not be a household name. We would not all know King Kong because that movie would have faded into obscurity because it was too long.
Yeah.
All right.
Short movies were the place to be back then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like they had long movies back then. Like they had like movies that were like remember like we used to watch those like adventure movies that were from the silent film era, and they were like super long. It felt like they were like epic
adventure movies.
Like there was the one where the guy was like a thief or whatever, and it was kind of like an Aladdin type story.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. It was. I don't think I watched all of that.
Okay. The pines were roaring on the high. Yeah, okay, cool. Do we have narration? Do we have narration from Bilbo? Or is that copying Backstreet? I guess he didn't do too much narration. He just narrated the end, right?
And the beginning.
And the beginning. Do we have that? Do we have narration at the end of the beginning? Do we have narration throughout
I don't think we need that.
So no narration. Okay.
Narration is kind of lazy.
Yeah. So do we show Bilbo returning home and like putting the ring in a little glass case up on the mantelpiece? Or do we end the story with the dwarves dying and him leaving Lake Town?
The second one.
Okay.
I like that better.
All right. Fair enough. We can do that instead.
Should I write that down?
Well, I don't exactly remember how the Hobbit, the third movie ends, so I don't know if which one of those is more accurate. But we should probably write it down. So, and second movie ends with Bilbo with the dwarves dying, Bilbo leaving Lake Town to begin the journey home. Done.
Is that all?
Yes, I think that's it. So,
all right.
Well,
this was episode 1
of Footnotes. This was episode 1 of Footnotes.
Footnotes.
Yeah, Footnotes. And so look forward to our next episode where we should be covering Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So we'll be moving on from Peter Jackson's mistakes to Steven Spielberg and George Lucas's mistakes. It's going to be incredible.
Goodbye.